Welcome back to my Mythical Meta. My name is Travis, and I'm joined this week by my brother Benjamin.
Hello.
And my excellent friend Derek.
Hey.
What is up, guys? Welcome. Tonight, we will be tackling an archetype called Ramp, or Big Mana. It's an Essential Concepts episode, and we are doing an episode special for the Timmies and Tammies. Are you guys excited?
This one's for you guys, and for me.
And for Derek.
After several archetypes where I don't care, now we're in care territory.
Derek has got some skin in the game for this one. We are going to tell you, Timmies and Tammies out there, how to get all of the big spells, the big monster creatures that everyone else says are too bad to play. You can play them in this archetype, okay? And it is going to work out for you. You can play them here. So listeners, comment with other Magic and EDH deck archetypes that you think belong in this series. We are still on the road to 1K. Thank you so much to all of our current subscribers and to the tireless pilgrims who took the long trek and found us from TikTok and Instagram. Here on YouTube, we have amassed about 740 subscribers. We are so close to 1,000. And it's awesome to see that number climb every day. But 84% of our viewers are still not subscribed. The analytics are snitching on you guys. Please, if we have made our way into your algorithm, if you're starting to catch our shorts and you're liking our content, please take that step and click subscribe and click that bell so that you don't miss anything. We have 3 ongoing series. We have the Essential Concepts, which this episode is part of. We have Magic players try other card games. The Gundam card game is coming up next. Derek, Randy, and I went to a release event where we played with starter decks. And Randy's not here right now, but I'm going to go ahead and pump him up a little bit. Randy went 7-2?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, Randy went 7-2 that evening.
Right.
He did an awesome job.
He might have gone 6-2.
Was it 6-2?
Still.
And he occupied table 1 for most of the night. It was really cool to see Randy doing well while I lost every game I played. But Randy, I mean, he saw the code somewhere. He was making good choices and playing the Xeon Rush deck. And before I move on, those of you who are still on the fence about whether to click subscribe or not, I have compiled some testimonials, some comments from around the channel. And Benjamin, Derek, I want you guys to see them just in case you haven't, and pick one that you love and just read it out for our listeners who might be on the fence about subscribing. Benjamin, pick a good one.
I like this one on the bottom here. One of the best vids I ever seen. Take the sub. Keep up the good work.
Derek, how about you?
Yeah, at bfowler115 says, you guys are awesome. Let's keep it short and simple.
Well, I'm going to take this long one. It said, hey, therapist and MTG player here. Such an underdiscovered and valuable channel. You guys are touching on incredibly important topics that I know are going to help people. I hope to see y'all blow up on here soon. Like, that is exactly the kind of thing that we are hoping to do with our News from the Warfront series, finding people who just need a little bit of guidance in their playgroups in order to resolve some kind of conflict. We have such a healthy group, and that's the point of this show, is to share it with others. There are lots of comments, lots of positive comments here from our Essential Concept series. Here's one that said, I just started playing Spellslinger. This video was very informative. Here's one that said, love the discussion format and quality here, subbed. This guy said, I discovered you guys through TikTok. I'm looking to build a Kaga deck. This was on our Reanimator episode. So thank you guys. I'm learning a lot from this video. And if you're watching us on screen, I'm going to put all of these comments up so that people can see what a great job we're doing. Make that choice for yourself if you want to be one of our first 1,000 listeners. So thank you guys so much. Please hit subscribe, tap that bell icon, and here's a call to action if you want to see us meet our goal. How about you, listener, share this episode with 2 friends. Share it with 2 friends, especially if you have 2 friends who are new to Magic. If you have 2 little Timmies who have just discovered a big creature that they want to play, send them this video. Let's get to 1K.
Yeah. This is the episode for Timmy's. Big mana, just tingle with power as you just the energy flows through you.
This episode goes out to Anthony.
Hey.
Anthony, one of our Metapod members on YouTube. We just released last week his deck tech for Multani Yavimaya's avatar. If you are interested in becoming a Patreon patron, you can find us at patreon.com/mymythicalmeta, or you can do like Anthony and join our YouTube community. Anywhere our video is playing on YouTube or on our YouTube channel, you can find the button that says join. You can also contact us directly with questions, comments, and news from the Warfront ideas at mymythicalmeta@gmail.com. Okay, all of our social media coordinates out of the way. Today we are tackling big mana. This is an archetype that does exist in 1v1. Ever heard of Tron? One of the most popular V1 archetypes out there is all about assembling the Urza's lands and getting to 7 mana. That is big mana. That is a ramp deck if you're working on trying to find those particular lands and go. Benjamin, tell us a little bit more about what big mana looks like in 1v1.
Yeah, at 1v1, you are spending probably the first 3 turns just increasing your mana so that you have 6 or 7 mana on turn 4 while your opponents are stuck at 4 mana. And because they can't count on hitting their 4th mana, they're playing 1 drops, 2 drops, 3 drops usually. Whereas you have designed your deck that you can reliably play 6 drops, your 6 drop is going to blank their 3 drops, right? So you're going to, in 1v1, you're seeing Primeval Titans and Ugins and these large creatures coming into play and just nullifying what your opponent's doing. Yeah, you're looking at Amulet of Vigor plus Azusa, Valakut Scapeshift decks, Tron, like you mentioned, decks like that in Modern. A lot of big artifact decks in Legacy using Ancient Tomb and a lot of the lands that tap for 2 mana, City of Traders, and those sorts of things, trying to just hit 4 mana on turn 2. Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Per usual, we are going to be focusing mostly on EDH here, mostly on the Commander format, because that's what we play in our meta. But the concepts that we talk about here, you can translate them over into 1v1 deck building and 1v1 games. Before we dig really, really deep in big mana, I want to take our listeners on the journey that we took to arrive here. We began this discussion not saying we were going to do big mana. We said, let's build Stompy. Let's build green Stompy. But we realized that, 1, it doesn't have to be green. Any color can build Stompy. But 2, we got stuck saying, what is Stompy? What qualifies as Stompy and what doesn't? And the first question I asked in our group chat was, is Elf Ball Stompy?
To know, because when I play a Llanowar Elf, no one's shaking in their boots. Or you're playing.
But it is ramping me, though.
It's ramp, and ultimately you end up with a board of big creatures. But after a board wipe, one of your best cards in there is something like Elvish Archdruid. After a board wipe, you play that, and it's a 2/2 that taps for 1.
Yeah, right? It's nothing again.
Whereas Stompy, after a big board wipe, I'm putting down a Galta or something that people are afraid of. And you might have a few of those in Elf Ball, but it's not the goal of the deck, right? We contrasted that with, for example, Derek's Geshath deck. After a board wipe, what are you playing?
I'm playing Geshath, baby.
Well, okay.
It's the only thing that you should be playing in a Geshath deck is Geshath and swinging.
What if someone plays
over and over and over? The Geshath is the most valuable thing you can do at any given time.
Yeah, okay, fair. What if someone says, was it Nevermore?
Nevermore
on Geshath.
What that the card does.
It's name a non-land card. That card can't be cast.
Well, then I've lost the game. Like I'm having to hard cast dinosaurs, which dinosaurs by themselves aren't the greatest, but Geshath just windmill slamming them onto the board is what makes it terrifying. Suddenly there's 6, 7, 8, or 9 dinosaurs that all have 5, 6, 7, 8 power on the board all of a sudden.
Yeah. But I think that's what Benjamin's going at, is that a lot of individual dinosaurs are still major threats. Yes. Itali, Zetalpa. Like, these are all still big dinosaurs that, if they swing, are really going to hurt somebody still.
Right. So if all you played was a Zetalpa, that's still a big deal. That could actually win you the game. It would take a while. But if that's all you did. So even though they're both kindred decks, elves and dinosaurs, elves are not, I wouldn't call them Stompy, right? Because individual elves are not scary. Individual dinosaurs are still scary.
Right. We had the question, is Stompy even an archetype? Or is it just a win con for other archetypes? Is Stompy just what somebody chooses to do once their archetype has worked? And that even brought us to the question, what is an archetype? And I do think we've settled on the idea that an archetype is a full game plan from beginning to end, and Stompy by itself might just be the end part of several different archetypes.
Yeah, so we were talking about how Stompy might just be like a sub archetype or whatever, and we said that, Hensi first and foremost is a reanimator deck. That's what the deck wants to do, start to finish, is just play big stuff, get the effects, let them die, and then bring them back. But these are all massive monsters, so there is like an aspect of Stompy that where it goes in and I'm getting these 6 CMC creatures over and over and over again, and eventually I will, overwhelm the board if they're not dealt with.
So Hensi is like Reanimator with a Stompy win con. And Benjamin, what's a Shia?
A Shia is a ramp deck with a Stompy win con.
There you go. So we decided that for this episode, we have already done Reanimator. You can find that in this video here. So we're not going to hit on Reanimator again, but we did just do a deck tech for our viewer Anthony's Multani Yavimaya avatar. You can find that deck tech here, that deck doctor. And so what we wanted to do is formally cover the archetype of big mana or big ramp, because we did that for Multani, big ramp, top end, big spells. And so we wanted to formally cover the archetype with a full strategy guide. So Benjamin, would you please give us a little bit of an overview of what the big mana strategy is from beginning to end? What does this archetype aim to do?
Okay, so big mana, the goal is to build resources in the early game, taking advantage of the slow starts from the opponents to go over the top with bigger threats in the late game. So you might be doing nothing to interact with your opponents for the first 3 or 4 turns, and then you survive to the late game, and you're playing out a string of powerful creatures or huge sorceries or big artifacts or whatever your game plan is. Everything you play is a must-answer threat, and they cannot answer every threat. So one of your huge spells is bound to win the game. You could win by combat damage. You've played 6 drops, and you're going to get in by knocking people down to 0 life. You might make an infinite mana combo with a mana sink, one of the many mana sinks you have, or you might play big instants or sorceries like Villainous Wealth, similar to our Spellslinger's win cons, which you can find in this video up here.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, big mana is a strategy that shines in brackets 1 to 3. And this is why we say if you have friends that are beginners and they just found that shiny 7-drop dragon that they really want to play with, and everybody keeps telling them that's too expensive for what it does, they can play it here and potentially win with it here. So this is the archetype for playing all those really cool big mana things that you don't get to play anywhere else.
With a deck like this, every creature that you play ideally is a huge threat that the board needs to respond, and each one acts as a lightning rod to draw the hate, so that way the next threat you play can get through. And you just keep doing that and keep doing that until they are out of threats. It's the old Russian Soviet plan of just throw bodies at the problem until the problem fixes itself.
Yeah, in my opinion, at brackets 1 through 3, your opponents will run out of removal. You will have enough threats so that each person has removed one, and then you get to go on to a clear board with a clear path to victory.
Yeah, if everyone's running 10 pieces of removal, that's 30 pieces of removal that exist at the table against you. And of course, they're not just using them on you. If you're running 32 threats, they can't kill them all. And if each one controls the board, then you just need to get there, right?
Yeah, if every threat you play warps the board in some way around it, I mean, it's a really exciting deck to play. The early game for this archetype is ramp, ramp, ramp. And it's a race. You want to be at your end game while your opponents are still just arriving at their mid game. Everyone is probably ramping turns 1 and 2, if doing anything on 1, in brackets 1 through 3. You spend that 1 extra turn ramping. By spending that extra turn ramping, or by ramping twice in a turn, you get to skip the mid game. And then every card you play is an end game threat. It's really exciting. Let's talk about the pros of this archetype. What's exciting, what's good, what's powerful about playing big mana or big ramp? Derek, start us off.
Yeah, so one of the biggest strengths of this deck is that you just throw bodies at the problem until the problem is fixed. It's got a very flexible plan. Like when I'm playing my Joda deck, I don't care what big creature I'm getting or what big spell I'm getting. It doesn't
Yes.
matter. It's changing the board for, my benefit. So if
Yeah.
I do that every single turn, it doesn't even have to need doesn't need a name or anything. It's like, here's 10 mana, make the problem go away.
Yes.
You know,
That's what it was like so often playing against your Maelstrom Wanderer.
yeah.
It's like, I just do not care what I cascade into
Yeah,
because
anything
it's going to
if
be good no matter what.
yeah. Oh, it's more ramp. Cool. Now I'll do 3 spells a turn instead of 2.
Yeah.
So it's very flexible because nothing really matters, which is which is also like it makes it resilient because ideally you build this in a way where like these creatures or spells are going to eat all this removal and then I'll just reanimate them back or whatever. There's a resiliency there where it's like just keep taking these hits and I'm just going to keep going.
The feeling of power when you put both hands on the table and tap everything and then drop a card that no one else plays because it's too expensive. Drop it, put your Ulamog on the table and start blasting, right?
Yes.
Or drop down your Terastodon and pick off the 3 most problematic things, or drop down your Jin Gitaxias and watch the table cry. Right? You have to set your hand down because you have too many, or do it one by one because 1, 2, 3, and they're all trying to figure out what you're going to cast, and you just keep tapping. You're like, I tap 11 and I play Fireball for 10. You're dead. Whatever it is, right? Whatever your top end is, but your deck is full of those. So every turn and that's so it's powerful in a way that Reanimator is not. Yeah, you're getting the same, right? You have the Stompy Wincon or whatever it is. You're getting the same board at approximately the same time in the game. But the difference is that you built it. With Reanimator, you put it in your graveyard.
Honest hard work, like the Soviets did.
You harness the power. Instead of like stitching together something in your lab and going, it's alive, you have amassed a kingdom, and out of it rise dragons and dinosaurs.
You've created the fattest spirit bomb and you're about to just wipe somebody out.
You are harnessing all the mana from these lands and putting that giant dragon into play, and it feels really good. And even better, this goes to the resilience that he was talking about. Yeah, you might be able to get your giant dragon or whatever a turn or 2 earlier in Reanimator, but if they kill it, you don't necessarily have the resources to do again. But if I've ramped 7 mana and I play a dragon and you kill it, I have the resources to just play the next one.
That's exactly what I was thinking as you were going down that path, was when you ramp the honest way, you have that mana every turn. Okay, it's not a one-time boost where if you get stopped, that's it, that's the end. It's a fine, you still haven't taken care of me because I still have all of these resources available to me. And in brackets 1 through 3, mass land destruction is very frowned upon. That's not allowed in these brackets. And so you have the bracket on your side in terms of the deck building, in terms of the gameplay, of saying, I have all of these resources every turn. I can turn those resources into card draw to keep going. I can just play the next big thing out of my hand if I've been smart and only played one big threat at a time. So it's really cool to just have that power and keep that power every turn.
Yeah. Magic in general and multiplayer Commander specifically is a resource management game. It doesn't always feel like that, right? You have these fantasy battles and it might feel different, but ultimately it's who manages your cards, your life, and your mana best. And this one seeks to just really maximize your resources because you're going to turn that mana into cards and into creatures and into life totals, right? Mm-hmm. Like your mana is being used for stuff. So by this one, it's kind of like if you've ever played Civilization or Rise of Nations or any of those, you're investing in your tech tree early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you have your nukes while everybody else is wheeling their cannons in with horses.
Right.
The way I play Civilization, I always invest in a heavy industry with like gold and production. And then by the time my greedy little AI neighbors want to declare war on me because they covet the lands I have. I'm like, sure, let's go. I turn it into a wartime production. I start buying units with all the money and gold that I've amassed, and then suddenly, my 3 or 4 troops suddenly becomes 15 horses, cavalry riders and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a sickness in my mind that transcends every game.
You'll often hear when you come to Magic that there's a rock, paper, scissors relationship between the various archetypes. Aggro beats control, control beats combo, combo beats aggro. Commander, especially in the lower bracket commander, is really designed around mid-range, which is situated kind of halfway between aggro and control. And so it beats aggro and loses to control, right? Basically, the bigger you go, the more likely you are to win, unless you go too big and then you lose to people going underneath. That's a little more complicated, but basically at lower brackets there is no combo. People aren't playing combo. Combos, in fact, not allowed in brackets 1 and 2. Two-card
Right.
combos are not allowed in bracket 3, right? You just have aggro and control. Now, heavy control will beat aggro, but it's really, a lot of people don't find it fun. It's really kind of frowned upon. People get, there's a heavy bias on both the player side and the opponent side against playing control. So one step back from that is going really big on the mid-range side. That's going to beat everything lower than that. Only the most aggressive decks are going to beat a big mana deck in this setup where there's no combo and control is frowned upon. So this is the place to be to amass wins at the lower brackets. You're not buying expensive cards, you're not using game changers, you're not cheating in any way, you're not doing anything frowned upon by the social contract, but your win percentages are going to be higher because you're taking advantage of the lack of combo and the minimalization of control in the meta.
Yeah, this is an archetype that looks at the meta environment and says, I can really thrive here. It's an interesting thing because I can't imagine the table that would look at a big mana deck and say, man, that's not fair down here in bracket 2.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody is doing this to some degree. What we're talking about today is doing it to a very high degree. Let's talk now about some cons, some weaknesses, what can happen that can cause this deck to lose.
Yeah, so the idea with this deck is we want to be ramping for the first 3, 4, maybe even 5 turns. So it's going to be a slow, you're going to have shields down a lot where people can really give them guts early on and really put a hurt on. You could lose half your life in those turns because you are an easy target to get abilities and triggers off of by dealing combat damage. So kind of the price you pay. Hopefully you can politic your way out of it, but if they know what kind of deck you're playing, they're going to try to hit you as much as they can, as fast as they can, before it becomes too difficult later on.
Even if your shields are down, if they notice that you have 6 lands on turn 3, they're going to say, nah, that's not going to fly. You can't play the poor puppy dog to me. Because I know that next turn when you untap and play a land, you're at 7 and you can't do that.
All of that into another point where when you have 6 lands on turn 3, people like, whoa, I don't know what he's planning on doing, but we need to focus him down. We need to deal with this, especially when you start playing your bombs. People are like, guys, we've got to team up to do this. It doesn't even, deck doesn't even have to be that strong. It's just the psychology of seeing something that does, 10 has 10 power on the board. It's like, oh, I cannot get hit by that. We have to team up. And so it's very much that scene where Iron Man is getting beat the hell out of by Captain America and Winter Soldier, and that she's just,
yep.
So you have to. That's why you have to go super fast as you can, so that way there's no chance for them to, like, if they're going to all team up on you, you need to be able to take 3 people on at once, and that's easier said than done.
Right. This particular deck style is weak to a deck or a pod that has a robust removal package. If you are playing against a control opponent, or the whole pod, like Derek just mentioned, has realized you're the threat and they've all decided that they're all going to save all of the removal for you, you might fold. You might fold too soon. Another crazy weakness for this archetype is discard. Also, don't think discard sees a lot of play in brackets 1 to 3, but in 1v1 it does. I mean, everyone's running turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 1 Inquisition of Kozilek or Duress and stuff like that. That's very common in 1v1 Magic. And so they look at your opening hand and see and see your Avacyn Angel of Hope there. They're going to say, discard that.
Yeah.
Right.
And they've
Or
gotten rid of
or discard the ramp.
And that way that Avacyn is just dead in hand the whole game. So that's kind of what we're saying is this archetype is weak to people who are ready and prepared to use the removal on you often.
A big weakness that this shares with Reanimator and some combo decks is that you may not draw the right combination of cards. It really suffers from potentially drawing the wrong half of your deck. You know, your deck is basically two things: ramp and payoff. Ramp and big creatures, ramp and threats, right? Well, if you draw all threats, you're never going to get to play any of them. And if you draw all ramp, okay, I have 10 mana and nothing to do with it. So when I'm playing a big mana archetype, this is a weakness of mine, and it shows up in the weakness here. I will often think, I do not need card draw until I've run out of cards in hand. That's my thought process. And so I say, I'm going to put my card draw starting with Rishkar's Expertise, starting with Return of the Wild Speaker.
Because your hand won't be empty. Your hand will only be empty if you've played out your other 6 mana threats.
Exactly. If I've played out, I've played my commander, right? Because if I have my commander to play, presumably my commander is a payoff or something to get me there, right? I will have played my commander, all the lands in my hand, and all the threats or ramp in my hand or whatever. Then I can play a card draw spell and refill and keep going. That's my thought process, and most of the time it works. But it's entirely possible for me to play out my hand and not have a creature to use Rishkar's Expertise on, or to play out my 2 ramp spells and get to 6 mana, and the thing I'm holding in my hand is Avenger of Zendikar for 7 mana. And so I played my 3 lands, my 2 ramp spells, and I'm stuck with Rishkar's Expertise and Avenger of Zendikar in hand. Okay, well,
can't play them.
So it's really, I'm not going to say it's common, because you can mitigate this problem by playing cheaper card draw, using a lot of scry, a lot of things that help you dig, and just making sure that you have the deck velocity to see the right things, and filling your deck with card draw at every stage,
at every part in your curve,
lands,
including some 3 mana draw, some 4 mana draw,
lands that cycle, lands that tap to draw a card when you're empty-handed. You know, there's all sorts of stuff. There's ways you can mitigate this if you build your deck right, but at these lower brackets, newer players suffer from not building their deck right. And so if this is the deck style you're building and you're doing it with what you've got on hand, you can make a powerful deck out of draft chaff, because there's a lot of overcosted stuff and a lot of the ramp packages are usually pretty cheap. But if you don't build your deck right, it's not going to be uncommon to sometimes draw the wrong parts of your deck at the wrong times.
All right. So there's our pros and cons. Let's jump into some strategy tips for playing big mana or big ramp. Derek, start us off.
Well, the name of the game is ramping, so you want to just ramp, turn 1 ramp, turn 2 ramp, turn 3 ramp, keep ramping, put tons of ramp in your deck, put more than you think you need in your deck, just go absolutely crazy with it. I like to joke on my Joda deck that it's 50% ramp, 50% bombs.
Yep.
And it does well.
It does really well.
I don't think it's ever lost a game. I don't play it very often, but still.
And our meta is mostly brackets. Our meta is mostly bracket 3.
Yeah.
A couple 4s here and there, but mostly bracket 3. So.
Yeah. I like to fill the top end. We talked about, half threats, half payoff, right? I like to make those things that...
You mean half ramp, half payoff?
Yeah, half ramp, half payoff. I think that I like the payoff to not just be big threat, but also fill some other role. A poster child for this is going to be Apex Altasaur. I need sweepers. I need removal. Well, why not make my threat a 10 power creature that also picks off all the utility creatures on the board? And so there are more threatening things at 9 mana, right? Because once it's done its thing, it's a 10 power, basically vanilla.
It still has enrage.
Yeah, it does.
It can do it again.
Yeah, it's still game warping, but at 9 mana, there are more game warping things. But I love the utility that I get from a card like Apex Altasaur. And that allows me to feel comfortable playing very little removal or very little card draw, because they're attached to 6/6 tramples. They're attached to things that create 5 tokens on the board, or whatever it is.
Or flyers, or
things
like that. Steel Hellkite is a board wipe with wings.
Exactly. I mean,
Same
a
with
5/5 flyer
Balefire Dragon.
with fire breathing is a threat. It has to be answered, even if it didn't have removal on it.
Yeah.
Listener,
the
for
fact-
the record, this is not just a strategy for big mana. It's a strategy for every single thing. Your card needs to do two things.
Yeah.
More than one thing. It doesn't have to do two things. Not every card has to do two things, but they need to. You only have 100 cards. You have to make. You need to.
Got to double up on those
Yeah,
categories.
double up. That's the word I was looking for. Double up
Yeah.
on certain categories.
As Benjamin was saying that, I was like, this is a Derek thing.
Yeah.
Of saying if you can tack on card draw or removal to these giant bodies, I mean, the giant body is itself part of the game. It's going to threaten life totals, and life totals are how you win. So that part is going to do its job. You don't have to worry about it. Tacking on that card draw and that targeted removal or a board wipe like Apex Altasaur, that's a really smart move when you're filling out your top end, when you're picking what big spells you want. And that kind of feeds right into our next point, is talking about the kind of removal that you want to include in a deck like this. You actually want more board wipes than normal and fewer targeted removal than normal. I think most deck building, including our own, will say that for beginners, you want 3-ish board wipes. I know Benjamin likes to add in a few more than that. And between 7 and 10 targeted removal pieces. But with this archetype, board wipes are your friend. You want to lean more on board wipes and less on the targeted removal. If someone else's early game gets them too far ahead, a board wipe is going to be able to reset, put everyone back to 0, but you are not back at 0. Your mana, your resources, you are ready to start over big. Somebody else might only be at the position in a board wipe to cast 5 mana worth of stuff, but after a board wipe, you might be ready to cast another 7-drop or another 8-drop spell, which, again, like Benjamin said, in 1v1, a 6-cost spell is just going to blank out a 3-cost. It's just whatever they've played at that lower curve, it's just not going to matter. It's not going to be able to compete with what you are able to play. Everyone else, after a board wipe, is still stuck in the mid game, but you get to continue on. You get to start over as if you are still in the late game. So when you're tweaking your ratios, try to lean a little heavier on the board wipes. Instead of only 1 to 3 board wipes, turn that number up. Go 3 to 6 board wipes. Go up in that number and less in the fewer targeted removal.
Also consider that your 10/10 creatures with trample are basically a board wipe.
Yeah, that's
People
right.
are going to be eating a lot of damage with their creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to go lower than normal on removal in this type of deck precisely because of that, right? If I'm having to choose between a 6-drop that makes tokens every turn or a Path to Exile, I might lean towards the 6-drop that makes tokens every turn. Make someone else spend their removal on it, or they're going to throw a few creatures in front of it.
Mm-hmm. There are some good board wipes that kind of do this for you, and they cost a little more, but things like Phyrexian Rebirth is a board wipe that lets you have another big token on the board. Is it Martial Coup?
Yes.
Where if X is 5 or greater, you get tokens?
Well, if X is 5 or greater, you destroy all of the creatures.
Destroy all of the creatures and you get the tokens. So
it,
there are some board wipes just built to do this already for you.
And those are good
and
ones.
They sit nice and comfortably in your top end. They sit nicely at 5 or 6 mana.
There's also a lot of one-sided board wipes that I would play in this type of deck that I wouldn't necessarily play in other decks because I can't reliably get to 7 mana when I need to blow up the board. But in Garruk's Wake, I know I'm getting a 7 mana. My deck's built for it. There you go.
In Garruk's Wake, so good.
I think it's like Narset's Removal or Tears of something. I think it's like Tears something, where it
there's Flood of
bounces
Tears
everything
is
to your
one.
hand, and you get to put something from your hand onto the board.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Flood of Tears.
Yeah, Flood of Tears.
I knew it had
good
Tears.
Job, Derek. Yeah, good job. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hand. If you return 4 or more non-token permanents you control, you get to put a permanent back onto the battlefield. Yeah, very nice. Sitting right there at 6 mana, like we said. Here's another one. Less protection, more threats. Just let them do their thing and play the next one. Because like Derek said, it doesn't matter what the next one is. Yes, it matters because it's big and game warping, but its specific name on the card is fine. It could be anything. So let it be anything. Replace that protection spell, replace that Tyvar Stand or whatever with another big mana threat. Tyvar Stand might not be the best example because it's X, and you can use it like a big mana spell and add +1/+1 counters to a creature. But still, instead of something Snakeskin Veil.
Yeah, Snakeskin Veil, Withstand Death, Regenerate. Yeah, just
you don't need them.
Mm-mm.
Let that creature go and replace that card slot. Like Derek said, limited card slots in the deck. Every slot is precious. So stick another threat in there rather than these little protection spells.
Mm-hmm.
With these big creatures you want to have haste. You want to be able to take someone by surprise and by storm. A good card in these types of decks is the first Atali. Well, both of them are really good. But the reason why Atali's not very good is because he doesn't have haste. Like, he's good, but he's not that good. People see it coming and they kill him before you get a chance to use him. So when all your creatures are like that, it's nice to at least get some value out of them before they are killed or removed in some way. So haste is certainly a big player in deck like this.
Yeah. There are several enchantments that just say give all your creatures haste. I think throwing just one or two of those into a deck like this is going to save you a lot of hassle.
Yeah.
I think one like Rising of the Day, is that the one from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Creatures you control have haste. Legendary
Get
creatures you
+1,
control
+0.
get +1/+0, I think.
Yep.
Just something like that. Or maybe,
Greaves and
us
Boots.
with Boots and a Lightning Greaves. Just have those two in your deck. That way, whatever you play is ready to have the opportunity to go. The opportunity
Fun in the
to
sun.
attack. Yeah, a moment in the sun, exactly. All right, Derek, it's not our last strategy tip, but it's a major one. And I'm excited to hear you wax poetic for this one. Go for it.
Well, I don't know about wax poetic, but speaking of Atali,
Yes.
what makes Atali good is because he cheats out cards off the top of your library and your opponent's library. You get to cast those spells for free. When in doubt and you can't ramp, go ahead and cheat. Go ahead and legally cheat in this game.
Yeah.
There are so many cards that say something like, play it for free. Just put it on the field. Who cares? Just do it. Punch him in the mouth. Nothing matters. This is my bread and butter. I love to cheat because no one, like, Derek's only got like 6 mana. Well, that's 6 mana I'm going to use on a spell that's going to let me cheat out 2 things.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that 6 mana to get 12 mana worth of stuff.
Yes.
It's insane.
It's so good. And there are so many different keywords and card types and stuff like that. They've done it. Someone made a nice little list for me here. There's Cascade, Discover, Affinity, anything that gives like cost reduction, things directly from the top of your library, putting permanents directly on the battlefield, things like that. It's just so nice to, do something for free and then have like mana to follow up with something even better.
Yeah. Cascade and Discover are both just insane.
Yeah.
And they work so well in a deck like this where, like we've said, whatever you get for free is fine. Anything that you get is good. If you get another ramp spell, that's all the better. But if you cascade into another big creature, that's good too. I mentioned in here things with affinity and other things that provide cost reduction effects. And I mentioned those because of my colorless deck. We're going to get to this next week when we talk more about the big mana decks that we have, but there's the Ugin that says colorless spells you cast cost 2 less, and there are several other colorless effects that all have that same thing. Artifacts you cast cost 1 less. Colorless effects you cast cost 1 less. Creatures with mana value 7 or more cost 2 less. So when I've got 2 or 3 of those on the battlefield, all of a sudden 8 mana Ugin costs 4. And that might as well be cheating.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting an effect worth 8 by paying much, much less. But there are so many cards that cast stuff directly from your library or put a permanent directly onto the battlefield. Green has creature tutors that do this. It's got a ton of creature tutors that do this. It's search your library for blank, put it directly on the battlefield. That's incredible. That's a great effect. And with a tutor like that, you can pick the threat that's going to win the game.
Right. We keep saying that it doesn't matter what the creature is, but what that really means is you filled your deck with a bunch of neat effects at the top end. So creature tutors, like you were talking about, are actually real nice for getting that one effect you need because you stuck a bunch of things on your 10 drops. So if you need a board wipe, you get Apex Altasaur. If you need tokens, you go get your Avenger of
Avenger of
Zendikar.
Zendikar.
If you need life, you go get Wormcoil Engine, whatever
You
it
need
is.
card draw, go grab. Here's Karuga, the Macro Sage.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Draw a card for each permanent you control with converted mana cost 3 or greater. Yeah, that's
Which is going to be
awesome.
most of your permanents in a deck like this. Well, most of your non-land permanents. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we're saying is whatever comes out on the battlefield, it's going to help your game plan in some way. Whether it's random like with Cascade or Discover, or whether you've planned for it by playing cards. I think I was thinking
Emergent.
of Emergent Ultimatum is Sultai, and then Genesis Ultimatum is Teamer,
That's the good one.
which is the really, really good one.
Yeah.
Look at the top 5 cards of your library, put any number of permanent cards onto the battlefield, and the rest into your hand. Crazy.
Wow. With that many colored pips, it better be.
That's true too. So those are some strategy tips. Benjamin, how many lands did you say you put in a deck like this?
Well, I was saying that it depends on how I'm ramping. With land ramp. You know, if I'm using a lot of the rampant growth into what are the 4-drop ones?
Explosive vegetation.
Yeah, like if I'm doing
Circuitous root.
Path.
yeah, if I'm doing a lot of those explosive vegetation type cards, then I'm probably putting 38 to 40 lands in the deck because I want to make sure I get to that, hit those on curve, and have enough lands to keep going. If I'm doing artifact ramp and going real heavy on the 2 mana artifacts, I might have as low as 34 lands. I'm certainly not going lower than that, I don't think. But yeah, I want to make sure I hit at least my first 3 lands on curve in every game, and I want to make sure that I'm able to get to all of my ramp spells. I want enough lands I can hit all of my ramp spells on or ahead of curve always.
A lot of this strategy comes down to your deck building. This strategy comes down to the ratios of the types of cards that you're going to put into your deck. One of the first things you should consider is the cost of your top end spells. The cost of the most expensive thing in your deck. How many of those do you have? How reliably do you want to hit that top number? Maybe you're topping out at 7. And I chose 7 because that's what Tron tops out at. In 1v1, when you get your 3 Urza lands, you top out at 7. And then that's the most expensive thing that they put in any of those decks. Well, if you're topping out at 7, then you should use lots of ramp that costs 1, 2, and 3 because you want to be as reliably as possible hitting that 7 on turn 4. On turn 4, you want to get to that 7. Are you thinking about topping out at 10 or hard casting these Eldrazi for 11 to 15? Well, then maybe you should consider the 4 to 5 cost ramp as well, like Gilded Lotus or Explosive Vegetation, like we just mentioned. You know, what turn do you want to play these top end things? And every turn before that, you should be ramping.
Right.
In our opinion, in a game of Commander, at least, on turn 4, you should either be turning the corner and playing threats, or you should be ramping twice or ramping big, okay? Because turn 4 is the mid game for everyone, not just you. Turn 4 is the mid game for everyone. And so when you're there, you should either be at your late game or turning the corner from mid to late.
Yeah.
For you.
I think that's accurate. Yeah.
And then, Benjamin, what's our rule of thumb for everything after turn 4?
Hey, yeah, once you've hit your top end, either on turn 4 for your 7 drops or turn 5 or 6 for your 8, 9, 10, 11 drops, everything after that should have flair. Everything after that should be a big polarizing lightning rod that makes people pay attention to what's on your board and shake in their boots. Make them decide that taking a turn off to play a greater good on turn 4 maybe isn't in their best interest because you're about to smack them with something that makes them sacrifice 2 creatures, or that's going to draw you 3 cards, or that's going to, whatever it is, right? Your thing does a bunch of stuff. You're basically warping everyone else's game plans around what you play, and that should be happening every turn once you turn the corner so that their game plans are disrupted. They can't go search out a combo piece because you're going to smack them with something that sets them back or that puts you too far ahead, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Our next step of this review, we want to show off some commanders that really exemplify what big mana stompy looks like. And we think these are great commanders for beginners because these commanders are going to show you. They're going to have a big neon sign that says, I'm ramp or I'm payoff. Okay, they're either going to help you do the ramping or they will reward you for the ramping or they're going to say, hey, I'm here to help you cheat big costs, or hey, fill your deck with top end so that you can use me. That's what all of these commanders say.
I'll take these first two.
Go for it, Derek.
So we said that, commanders are either ramp or payoff. The first one we got is Keenan, Bonner Prodigy. He comes down for a green and blue. Human Druid 2/2. This is the important part. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced.
Hey, wow, that sounds like ramp.
Yeah, that's weird. So ideally with a card like this, you play like Land of War Elves, whatever, turn 1. Play this turn 2, and then tap Land of War Elves for 2 or something like that. This is a ramp commander that we're talking about. So here's the second effect of Keenan. Green, blue, and 5. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order.
Sounds like cheating to me.
Pretty good. It's pretty
exactly. Good. This to me is very similar to what Golos used to do.
Yeah,
was pay 5 and 2, look at the top cards and pick something good. And that's exactly what Kinnan's doing here. And he's helping you ramp to that 7 mana. Insane.
Yeah, I think Keenan is expensive though, so I don't know.
Keenan Bonder Prodigy is a game changer itself.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so automatically you're starting in what, bracket 3?
Bracket 3.
Starts you off in bracket 3, yes. Yeah. If you choose this guy. But man, he's telling you exactly what to do.
Yeah, this is a good card.
Ramp and mana sink all in the command zone.
Yeah.
Insane.
Doing it all. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why it's a game changer. And then more on the payoff side of things, we have Emoti, Celebrant of Bounty, green, blue, and 3 for a Naga Druid 3/1. Got Cascade on it, so we're going to get something 4 or less when we cast this. So probably one of our ramp pieces to accelerate us into the next turn. And then here's the set-off part. Spells you cast with converted mana cost 6 or greater have Cascade. So now you are cheating more stuff out when you cast your, you get, I don't know, some Avacyn Angel of Hope. Now you're getting something 7 or less. Could be more ramp, that's cool. Or it could be, something with 7 CMC power. So you've put, what's 8 plus 7? Someone help me fast.
15.
Thank God. Yeah, 15 power on the board, or 15 CMC worth of value.
The next one has Cascade too. You keep going.
If it's also 6 or greater.
Yeah. I've done it where I get like a have this on the field and then I cast Maelstrom Wonder and I'm cascading 3 times.
Gross.
These decks, they do get carried away with the trigger sometimes when you start doing your cheaty little stuff like Cascade or whatever. Sometimes you can spend a bit of time playing solitaire.
Yeah. But ideally, it's a game-ending solitaire.
Yeah.
If you end your turn with 5 or 6 big threats, maybe they can't deal with it.
Yeah. And we also have a little joke here, or any other Simic commander. They all basically do this in some way. Usually they ramp, sometimes they are finishers or set up or whatever.
They usually ramp, they usually card draw.
Yeah.
Many of them have mana sinks on them, just ready for you to sink your mana into and generate value.
Probably the best 2-color pairing, so
probably. I want to do this next one. I briefly had this deck, but took it apart because I found it too constricting. Nikia of the Old Ways. This is 3 red and green for a Centaur Druid 5/5. She got a dump truck on her. She's ready to go. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced. This is ramp. Every time you tap a land for mana, you're getting double. So that amount of ramp is crazy. You are really ramping high and able to get lots of big threats. But here's the kicker for Nikia of the Old Ways. You can't cast non-creature spells. Yikes.
That's a tall order. It's a hard pill to swallow.
Exactly. I think when I built this deck, I was trying to do a Hydra thing, and there are much better ways to build Hydras now. I could probably rebuild Nikia in a cool way. Maybe with a bunch of green mana sinks to do stuff, like Ant Queen, like we threw in that Multani deck. There's probably lots of cool ways to build Nikia now.
There are better red-green Hydra commanders now.
Red-green Hydras? Yeah, for sure. Derek or Benjamin, do this next one. I know they have a special place in your heart.
This is Mael the Anima, red, green, white for an Elf Shaman 2/3. She's got an ability, red, green, white, and 3, tapper. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with power 5 or greater from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest of them in the bottom of your library in any order. I feel like this is just Keenan for the same amount of mana. What is that? No, 7. So 1 less.
1 less mana.
but it's a colored mana, so that's kind of same. So kind of the same price.
Yeah. But in Naya instead of Simic.
Yeah. So, everything we just said about Keenan is going to apply to her. She's going to be the kind of payoff. You get her early on turn 2 or 3-ish, and then hopefully you start, accelerating so you start using her ability very early to start getting some your whole deck is probably power 5 or greater. So,
Yeah.
if you build
Exactly.
right.
You want every activation of Mael to slam a fatty onto the board.
You may not remember, you built me my
Yeah. This was our first Secret Santa deck. I built for Benjamin because I was trying to do something that was off color, off book for him at the time.
Yeah.
He was always playing like black decks and like small little reanimator things. So like, no, you're gonna play big boys and you're gonna like
big
it.
fatties.
You're going to play big fatties and you're going to like it. Benjamin, do this next one.
All right. This one is a little different. Infamous Cruel Claw plays like Stompy. You don't necessarily ramp, but it turns the corner on turn 4 because when you attack with the Infamous Cruel Claw, you get to cheat something fat from your deck. It's a 1 black and red for a 3/3 Weasel Mercenary with Menace.
Bloomburrow was wild.
I loved it. What a fun set.
Weasel Mercenary.
Give me more Bloomburrow, please.
Yeah. Whenever the Infamous Cruel Claw deals combat damage to a player, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card, and you may cast it by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. So this is the cheating side of the big mana decks, because whatever you reveal from the top of your library, and you dig till you hit a non-land card, so you're always hitting something.
So nice.
So this is also an example of how big mana decks who've just ramped for 3 turns become the target, because the Infamous Cruel Claw's coming after you because I can get in. But this lets you turn the corner on turn 4 because you immediately switch from build up, if you did any, to I swing, I hit the player that was defenseless, and now I get to cast something big for free. And you know how you make it sure it's big? You don't put anything little in it. Your deck is all lands and big things that you want to cast for free. And you discard one of those useless lands to play your big thing. And then, of course, once you get to your top end, if your deck is only lands and big things, you might be playing 50 or 60 lands. There's not that many good big things to put in your deck. You might be playing 80 lands.
I mean, you've piqued my interest.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
There's only how many things are you going to play over the course of a game, right? So you want to make sure you hit your land drop every single turn.
You don't want to hit something. You don't want to hit something mid-range. You don't want to hit something in the middle of your curve, like 3 to 6.
Yeah. No, you
and
just
then,
play.
By the time you hit
7 drops, and
by the time you
lands.
hit a 7 drop, you may not need to get in with Cruel Claw anymore.
Exactly.
Or your 7 drop is a one-sided board wipe that ensures Cruel Claw can get in again. I see the code that Benjamin's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane.
And if you're playing that many lands, you're guaranteed to eventually get to your 7, your 8 drop, so that so now you're just casting it if you accidentally draw one of the things you wanted to hit off of Infamous Cruel Claw. So it doesn't go fast. It doesn't quite fit the style that we were talking about with the ramp, go, but it's the cheating style where you're still turning the corner on turn 4 while other people are maybe casting their commander. You're getting in and playing big fatties out of your deck. It's fun. I'm not going to say it's the best deck ever, but I made one with what I had on hand, and it was I enjoy playing with it. It's fun.
Yeah, very cool.
And I do run 60 lands in it.
You have 60 lands in your Cruel Claw deck?
Yes.
That is wild. Because even the landfall people out there are playing 45.
Yeah. But I don't want to hit
you don't want to hit Explosive Edge with this.
No, I don't want to hit a Signet.
I mean, I think I agree. I don't
agree with the 50 lands, but I agree about not hitting a Signet.
Yeah, that's crazy. Maybe we need to do a EDH rec research on what people are doing with Cruel Claw.
Yeah.
Because right now we're just seeing into the mind of Benjamin. Last one. I have this deck, Animar, Soul of Elements. This is green, blue, red for a 1/1 elemental. It has protection from white and from black, the 2 best removal colors in the game, and Animar has protection from both. That's going to make Animar unblockable in a lot of cases. So awesome. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Animar, Soul of Elements, and then creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each +1/+1 counter on Animar. What this does is every creature you cast is now a ramp spell for as long as Animar survives. For as long as Animar stays on the board, every creature you cast is reducing the cost of further creatures. In a lot of cases, and this is how my Animar deck is built to work, is I'm only paying colored pips for stuff. I practically never have to tap a land for any generic costs. I made my Animar deck to use the Tyranids from the Warhammer 40k deck.
Great use.
So every time there's X in the cost, I only pay the colored pips, and then I just say X is whatever Animar's +1/+1 counter count is.
Yeah.
And that's big enough. It's always big enough.
Yeah, and that way you're always playing on curve. You never have things that are too expensive or too cheap. It's right where you want to be. Tap out, ramp one. Yeah.
Animar is really, really cool. And if you're interested in Animar, take a look at his EDH rec page. Be careful of the bracket that you want to play.
Yeah.
Because there are some infinite mana, or there are some infinite combos that you can do with.
Yeah. Animar is really easy to break if you want to. So, which is also why I like it as a beginner commander, because it's beginner friendly and is easy to modulate as you get better at the game into higher brackets without having to change the deck you're playing.
Yeah, definitely a good point. Is there anything that you guys want to add overall to the big mana ramp archetype as a whole?
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun.
It's a lot of fun, and as long
to
as
just be the threat on the throne.
I mean, the real thrill of it is when you can. I remember when Benjamin was just starting to like come into our meta, he was always archenemy, and he could always fight us off all at once. And I was like, man, I want to be that. Like I want to be the guy that can just take it all. And at one point, I built my Maelstrom Wanderer deck, and it just pedal to the metal and like 3 people at once. Still, it's just like I felt like I really was doing something.
Yeah. As soon as you switch to this archetype, suddenly you were the archenemy.
Yeah.
It's not me anymore. Gunning for you.
Yeah. Benjamin, any words of wisdom?
And if you're building a deck and you want to have fun, go big or go home. Like this is the deck to just lay it all out on the table and say, can you go? Who's bigger than me right now?
Yeah. Can you take one after another after another?
No one can.
No.
Yeah.
Listeners, thank you so much for listening. Again, we are on the road to 1K. If we have made our way into your algorithm, please give us a shot. Click subscribe, click that bell icon. We do have a promo code with our sponsor, Eldorado Gaming. Benjamin, tell us about Eldorado Gaming's Road to 1K promotion.
Yeah, so Eldorado Gaming, sellers of metal dice and premium gaming accessories, and they sponsor our show. Shout out to them. And they also have given us a promo code for, as we approach 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube, Road 15, the road to 1,000, Road 15 at checkout, ROAD15, for 15% off your order at eldoradogaming.com. We always have our promo code META for 10% off, but while we're striving for 1K, you can get an extra 5% by using promo code ROAD15 on your first order. Check them out.
That's true. And like you said, you can always use code META for 10% off. And if you are a member of our Patreon or YouTube communities, you will find a 20% off code to Eldorado Gaming. A code that will last you a lifetime. You can use it an infinite number of times. So if you want birthday and Christmas gifts for all of your friends ready for the rest of your lives, a 20% off code for Eldorado Gaming. Thank you, listeners, so much for listening. Please go out and enjoy playing Big Mana, Big Stompy. It is a ton of fun, and you're gonna win a lot of games if you're playing in brackets 1 to 3. Now, I do think lots of people in brackets 1 to 3 are playing Big Mana, Big Stompy, but you're gonna play it better because you listen to us. Thank you guys so much for listening. Benjamin, Derek, thank you, of course, for being my great friends. This episode was sponsored by Eldorado Gaming. Use the promo code META for 10% off your order. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This episode was edited by me, Travis Konishek, and our intro and outro music is by Tyler Heath of the Oh Hellos.